Hello! I'll be sharing with you in this video an article I read that is titled 5 Steps for a More Creative Brain by James Clear. Like the title suggests, it's the creative process that will be simplified and cleared into 5 steps. Now, why is this important, you say? Well, we can say that we all want to be creative, right? That's because a creative mind is one of the most useful skills you can possess. Almost every problem you face in school or in life can benefit from innovative solutions, lateral thinking, and creative ideas. Anyone can learn to be creative by using these 5 steps. That's not to say being creative is easy. Uncovering your inner creative genius requires courage and lots of practice. However, this 5-step approach should help make the creative process clearer and easier to follow. To explain how this process works, here's a short story. So story time. Let's go way back to 1870 where newspapers and printers faced a very specific and very costly problem. Back in those times, photography was a new and exciting medium. People who read newspapers wanted to see more pictures, but nobody could figure out how to print images quickly and cheaply. To give a brief idea of how it was, if a newspaper wanted to print an image in the 1870s, they had to commission an engraver to etch a copy of the photograph onto a steel plate by hand. These plates were used to press the image onto the page, but they often broke after just a few uses. This process of photo engraving, you can imagine, was remarkably time-consuming and expensive. The man who invented the solution to this problem was named Frederick Eugene Eunice. He went on to become a trailblazer in the field of photography and held over 70 patents by the end of his career. After 2 years of learning the ins and outs of the printing process as a printer's apprentice in Ithaca, New York, he began managing the photographic laboratory at nearby Cornell University. He spent the rest of the decade experimenting with new photography techniques and learning about cameras, printers, and optics. Then, in 1881, Eves had a flash of insight regarding a better printing technique. He said he went to sleep and then suddenly, when he woke up, he saw the completely worked out process and equipment in operation projected on the ceiling. Eves quickly translated this vision into reality and patented his printing approach in 1881. He spent the remainder of the decade improving upon it, and by 1885 he had developed a simplified process that delivered even better results. This process has been called Eves process, which, as it came to be known, reduced the cost of printing images by 15 times and remained the standard printing technique for the next 80 years. Wow, that's long. Now, what does this story have to do about the creative process, you may ask? Well, let's answer that later. Let's talk more about the creative process in question. In 1940, an advertising executive named James Webb Young published a short guide titled A Technique for Producing Ideas. He said in this guide that innovative ideas happen when you develop new combinations of old elements. In other words, creative thinking is not about generating something new from a blank slate, but rather about taking what is already present and combining those bits and pieces in a way that has not been done previously. If you can form a new link between two old ideas, you have done something creative. Now the part you've all been waiting for. These are the 5 steps to being creative. First, you gather new material, or you basically learn material directly related to your task, and also general material once you familiarize yourself with a wide range of topics. Second, you thoroughly work over the materials in your mind. Here you can examine the material you've studied from different angles and fitting various ideas together. Third, you step away from the problem or simply doing something else you enjoy. Fourth, you let your idea return to you after you have stopped thinking about the idea. It'll eventually return to you, and lastly, shape and develop your idea based on feedback. Now the question from earlier. What does Eve's story have to do about the creative process? Well, basically what he did was a perfect demonstration of these 5 steps. He gathered new material by getting hands-on experience by being a printer's apprentice. He invested a lot of his time into experimenting with materials he gathered. By sleeping, he was able to stop thinking about his ideas even for a while, and as he woke up, he was able to think of a solution. After getting the solution, he continued to revise and improve his work, which led to the Eves process. An idea is a feat of association, and the height of it is a good metaphor. In short, the creative process is the act of making new connections between old ideas. Thus, we can say creative thinking is the task of recognizing relationships between concepts. Being creative isn't about being the first or only person to think of an idea. More often, creativity is about connecting ideas. And that's all. Thank you for listening.